This will be the reading for the sign of Gemini for the month of September 2026. The deck that I'm using is the Rider-Waite deck by Pamela Coleman Smith and Arthur Waite. And what I've done is I've pulled 3 cards for each consecutive week of the month of September. I also pulled an energy card, and this energy card will affect each consecutive week and all the cards pulled therein. So it's going to be a long listen. Put your feet up, grab a coffee, the cat, the dog, whatever it may be. Make yourself comfortable, and let's get started. Your energy card is the Six of Pentacles, and that's reversed. And that talks about you having feelings that are kind of conflicting. You're wanting to help someone, perhaps financially, but not being able to. And then you're thinking, well, no, why would I help you anyway, right? So you're going from one end of that spectrum to the other. You're wanting to share, and maybe not being able to is what's happening here. But it does talk about you not being able to spend as freely as you want. So there's financial constraints put on you. Now it talks about harmony is going to be achievable, but it's going to take some extra time or maybe even extra effort from you or the people in your life. Now don't forget, this is the energy card. So there's going to be a semblance of having to watch your money all through the month of September, okay? And you might even have to compromise to a certain point on certain things because there are going to be financial constraints put on you. And you know, your sense of empathy or even your acts of kindness are sporadic. You kind of go back and forth on it. And that's going to happen throughout the month of September. So you might want to rein in some of those snarky comments, Gemini. Okay, so we're going to move into the first week. And the first card that you have is the Star, and it's straight up. That talks about your energy being renewed. It talks about inspiration and guidance, feeling very fertile and very creative in your mind, your body, and your spirit. You're feeling optimistic, okay? There's enthusiasm and affection for other people, kindness, even good luck, unexpected opportunities. Maybe you're going to win the lottery and you're going to decide to help someone or to show an act of kindness to someone. So it talks about favors and abundance coming into your life, your health is right at the top of that rainbow, and there is a sense of wholeness in your creativity, okay, where you feel your mind, your body, and your spirit are in sync. So it also talks about freedom for self-expression. Now, if this is an individual that's coming into your circle of energy, because it talks about a person or this energy being personified, okay? That would be someone who's very kind and caring and generous, and they might be extending a helping hand to you in some way, Gemini. They're gracious and they're willing to aid and protect you in some matter in your life. Now, it does talk about your wishes and desires are going to be fulfilled. You're going to develop your talents. If you wanted to start a business or have a very lucrative business, that's going to happen. You're going to go about getting strange coincidences are going to happen. You're going to run into people that you've been thinking about. You're going to, I mean, if you've been shopping around for a specific type of car or furniture, okay, you're going to run upon that as you're out and about. So it does talk about strange luck. I mean, simply finding a $5 bill on the ground, or maybe, you know, you were picking lottery numbers and you didn't pick the numbers that you normally picked, and you know what? You picked some winners, okay? So it does talk about trusting your own creativity. And if you are having to heal in your mind, your body, your spirit, that healing is going to come in time and is going to strengthen your spirit and your mind. So any type of healing that you're having, maybe a relationship broke up, okay? And you were hurting really bad, and then all of a sudden you start to look inward and your spirit gets stronger and you're able to heal a lot quicker from perhaps relationships that, you know, simply devastated you when they broke apart. So those type of things. And that could be a job. Maybe you loved a job that you were doing and you lost it, or the business closed down, or maybe you had a business and you had to close it because of financial constraints, okay? You're going to be able to turn inwards and to find that healing and to know that you have come a long way and you have achieved a lot. And you know, it just gets better because in the middle part of that first week, you have the Wheel of Fortune and it's straight up. Can't get any better than that. So we just talk about change. Change is coming into your life, and it's coming into your life. The murky waters are separating, and you're seeing exactly what you need to do and where you need to do it, okay? So you need to prepare for changes and prepare for those better changes. There are cycles coming into your life, okay? Reoccurring themes. I mean, maybe you've gone through this period of unemployment, and then you go through a period of prosperity, and then you go through a period of loss and regret, okay? Those things are happening again, but at this point in time, you're on the better end of that wheel of fortune, okay? Things are coming into your energies, okay? Money, finances, friendships, love, okay? Now it talks about luck is going to be found in a new opportunity that you're getting involved in. And you're going to get a second chance in all aspects of your life. If a relationship has faltered, okay, you're going to find a relationship that's going to be there for the long haul. Now, just talk about a transformation, whether that's in your body, your mind, or your spirit. I mean, maybe you went on a diet, maybe you lost some weight, maybe you gained some weight, maybe you decided to build some muscle, okay, those type of things. But focusing on your health and your fitness seems to be forth at the very front of all the things that you want to achieve, okay? You're focusing on your health and physical health, like what you look like, how you exercise, how you take care of your body, your mind, and your spirit. I mean, maybe you're going to get involved in meditation. Maybe you're going to get involved in Tai Chi or Taekwondo or something that deals with a more natural method of healing. So your relationships in your life are changing in this first week, okay? And relationships that were meant to leave your life, that were draining you or draining your soul, they are going to leave your circle of energy in that first week. Now, the last couple of days of that first week, you have the Six of Swords and it's straight up. So that talks about harmony and talks about balance and, basically feeling in balance mentally. You're thinking clearly, okay? You're focused, you know what it is you want, and you're at this turning point in your life where you're looking ahead and saying, do I really want to be here? Do I want to be in this job, this relationship, this scenario, this environment, this home, okay? Like I said, things are changing in your life. You're at that turning point. You are making decisions based on what you see, what you want, and where you want to go. So it does talk about you being able to move in a new direction at this point in time. And there is an opportunity that's coming up for cooperating with someone on a project. Maybe you and another person have developed some type of a business endeavor, and you're getting involved in that. But people are on board with what it is you're planning. I mean, maybe you're planning a big move, and whoever's in your circle of energy, maybe friends or coworkers or a business partnership, okay, they agree with you, and they're moving forward on this endeavor full steam ahead. Now, it does say that you're going to send someone to speak on your behalf. Now, have you applied for a job, a loan, maybe for a business, or maybe you have already started your business, and maybe you have sent someone to speak on your behalf to gain a contract of sorts, okay? Now, it does say that maybe you're dealing with some type of illness at this point in time, and it doesn't seem like it's a big one, okay? It might be, simply maybe you're feeling under the weather. So those type of things are taking place, and someone is going to speak on your behalf. And of course, if you are vying for a contract, you will get that contract. It will be successful. Now, it could also be you that maybe you're going to speak on someone else's behalf. Maybe you're going to give someone a reference for a job, a loan, okay, a business loan of sorts, okay? Could also mean that you are changing a school if you're in school. Maybe you're changing a job or a career. Maybe you're going into second education. Maybe you're going into a higher education. Maybe you have college and you want to have a university degree, okay? But it does talk, as you're moving out of that first week, of a radical dislocation, okay? Maybe you didn't want this to happen, and it's come about, and you're going to go with it, even though it wasn't something that you were vying for or wishing for, okay? But at this point in time, you don't have a choice. The process has already begun, okay? Now, it could even mean if you have a family, maybe your family is moving and maybe you have to change schools. Maybe the whole scenario is that the whole family dynamic itself is moving, and because of that you're going to find yourself in a new environment with new opportunities that are opening up. So it doesn't look like a bad thing. And as we move into that second week, I'm seeing teaching, I'm seeing education, because you have the Hierophant, and the Hierophant is straight up. So that talks about traditional teaching or even a cultural institution of sorts, okay? You're directing your knowledge outward. So the things that you have learned, that the experience you have brought with you, you are putting it out there for other people to see, and you're receiving acknowledgement for such, okay? Maybe you're going to graduate and get a certification in that first week, or the first couple of days of that second week of September. You might be graduating a course of study and receiving your certification, okay? Now, it does talk about connection to a wider audience. Maybe you're becoming a teacher. Maybe you are going to mentor someone, or maybe you're getting a mentor. Someone's going to teach you something. It could simply be that someone's going to teach you how to drive a car, but it could very well be that you are going into a higher mode of education or getting some type of certification or degree, okay? Now, it does talk about you getting some special advice from someone, or maybe you're even being recommended for a higher course of study. And that has happened many times. You might even be recommended for a job that you are vying for because you have the experience and the knowledge that you need. And someone's saying, listen, so-and-so is amazing at this. Let's give them a chance at this job. Let's offer them this opportunity, okay? Now, it does say that there is someone or a group of people who are asking you to become their spokesperson, okay? That could be for a school, it could be for a job, it could even be a religious group or even a political affiliation, okay? A social organization, maybe even volunteer work. But it does talk about gender-based action, okay? So wanting to move something forward based on gender. I mean, you might be a female of the female persuasion, and maybe you're standing up for the rights of females in your circle of energy or in your job or in your environment, okay? There is something that is gender-based in your environment that you're getting involved in. It could simply be that you're joining a woman's group or you're joining a fitness group that is based on gender. Okay, so that could be if you're of the female persuasion or if you're of the male persuasion or other. Okay, the middle couple of days of that second week, well, you have the Ace of Swords reversed, and that talks about avoiding confrontation, okay? Not wanting to get into arguments or fights. And because of that, you're putting up with certain behaviors that you wouldn't have put up with before. You're kind of like turning a blind eye to things, but you're feeling frustrated, and that tension is building. So you might even be doing some snide remarks or maybe making a few enemies along the way, okay? With some dirty looks, okay? Now, it also talks about people, maybe yourself, Gemini. Maybe you're brooding over something that was said to you or done to you or that you took offense to, okay? It also talks about something being restrained, an emotion, and that could be anger or even sadness or depression, okay? Could even be a sexual attraction to someone in your life, okay? So be aware of that and know that it's got to be in the water, because it's happening to a lot of the signs that I know of, where in this middle part of that second week, there are almost like yearnings for something different. So there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be maybe, you know, crossing out of their relationships and moving in a new direction, okay? So be aware of that. And don't let yourself be at the brunt of that, okay? Now, it does talk in that middle couple of days of that second week, okay? There is intensity in emotions, intensity, and unhealthy obsessions where you're obsessed with something, whether it be an addiction or whether it be, wanting to move in a new direction or a new relationship. Okay, you are obsessed. You might be even looking on Facebook, stalking someone on Facebook or on the internet in some way. Okay, but it does say that you're looking for love in all the wrong places. So if you're joining a dating site, be very, very cautious. Be cautious. Now, you're not understanding why you're feeling this way. You're frustrated, okay? You're frustrated and you don't understand your motives. But there's a semblance of truth here where you're not happy where you are, whether it's in a relationship, a job, a circumstance, an environment, a location, okay? And so you're seeking it elsewhere. You're wanting to put that spark back into your life. So you are speaking your truth. You're not happy. You're feeling antsy. Now, it does say that there is an external force that is preventing you from getting out of a scenario, an environment, a situation, a relationship, okay? And it could very well be your pride. It could be your pride, or maybe even a financial constraint where you don't have the money to be able to leave a situation, a job, a scenario, whatever it may be, okay? There is something that is holding you back. And that is creating some anger. And that anger you seem to be turning towards yourself. You're turning that anger inwards. You're taking it out on yourself. And as you move into the latter 2 days of that second week, you have the strength card reversed. That means weakness. It's the opposite, okay? You're having to make a big push to get something done. And it's like one day you're saying, okay, I can do this. I got the strength. I can do this. And then the next day you're saying, damn, do I really want to do this? Do I really want this to happen in my life right now? But it does say that you're feeling driven to move forward in a project. You want to do it. But then there's times when you think, damn, this is going to take a lot of work, right? So focus on your stamina. Build your stamina. Build that inner strength, okay? Take care of that inner child of yours. Now, are you willing to put the effort in? Is this something that you really are vying for in your life? Okay, because that's important. And it talks about your diet. It talks about recovery from illness. And it says you need to use restraint. Don't strike out at other people because you're angry at yourself or you're angry at your situation or your relationship. Don't take it on other people, okay? Use a softer approach. Don't be abrupt with anyone. You can show strength without being abrupt or nasty, okay? But it does talk about a person relaxing their self-control, and that could very well be you, where you're putting up with shit, and eventually it's gonna run its course. It's gonna, that volcano's gonna explode, okay? That inner volcano that you've been tempering, you've pretty well had enough, and you're reaching your boiling point. So it does talk about you getting involved with different groups. It might be peer groups, it might be groups at work, it might even be sporting activities that you're getting involved in through your work or through your community, through volunteerism, okay, something like that. So you're taking that weak inner child and you're teaching them some strength, okay? So we're moving into the third week. And you've got things in balance. You're fighting yourself on it, but you have got it in balance. You are starting to come out of that period of emotional anxiety, okay? So you're moving in to the third week. First couple of days of the third week, you have perhaps a mentor or maybe even a romantic partner that's coming into your life, and it would be a fire sign. That would be a Leo, an Aries, or a Sagittarius. It could simply be a friend. It could be a family member, it could be a brother, it could be an aunt or a brother, an uncle. It is a male energy, okay? So it would be someone of the male persuasion. But someone that's coming in and saying, you know what, I can help you, okay? But in that second week, it did talk about possibly you learning something. And I said it could be someone teaching you to drive. And then in the third week, this individual is at the forefront. So this fire sign individual could be teaching you a skill of some type, okay? Now, this is kind of person that's very impulsive, but they're not shy. And when they want something, they go after it, okay? They're very fearless, but very enterprising. It could be someone who's invented something and encouraging you to get involved in it. Now, maybe you've started a business. Maybe you've been creative and you and this fire sign individual have started a business. Could very well be, or even a goal. or an endeavor. Like I said, someone teaching you to drive, someone teaching you to, I don't know, ski, swim, whatever it may be, okay? You are learning something new. But it does talk about you being more active, becoming more active, okay? And you're feeling that inner spark, and you want to be, it's almost like you're focused on your fitness to the point where you're not going to be lackadaisical about it. You're going to continue this battle, perhaps with, creating some fitness or taking care of your health, but you are focused. You are firmly focused on it with the help of this individual. This could be a coach, a mentor, like I said, a family member, a friend, a co-worker, okay? Someone who's going to go the gamut with you, that's going to help you create that level of fitness that you need or that you want. Now, it does talk about a large amount of money that's coming in, okay, in the first couple of days of that third week. And it could very well be a fire sign that gives you money of some sort, or that helps you out in some way. It also talks about you being highly self-reliant and very competitive, okay? You're expanding your social network. Maybe going to school at a distance, maybe expanding your skills in some way. Maybe you're joining the military, Navy, Air Force, Army. It does talk about romance. It talks about a mutual attraction. And you're going to somewhere that you've been before to do something new. You're attempting something new. A new project, maybe you're moving to an old location where you lived before and you're starting a new business, okay? It could be that you're going to join a service club, a sports club, some type of close-knit group with the same type of ideologies and beliefs and maybe even commitments, okay? But it's kind of pointing to me like it's a uniform. Are you becoming, getting involved in a course of study where you will be wearing a uniform? Maybe a police officer, maybe a nurse, someone in the military, okay? But it is talking about a uniform. A job where you would wear a uniform. So we're moving into the middle 2 days of that third week. You're altering your lifestyle, okay? Because you're tired. You're tired. So you've been putting a lot of effort into your fitness. So you are altering your lifestyle. You're bringing about better changes, more fitness, more focus on your fitness and your health and your diet, okay? But you're exhausted. Oh, Gemini, you are tired. You are exhausted, okay? You're looking for clarity, but you're not really sure how to move this forward, okay? Now, it seems like things are dragging in the middle part of that third week. Things are, if you're dealing with an injury perhaps from, maybe you've been working out too hard, maybe you pulled a muscle, okay? You feel like that recovery is really slow and you seem really sore. And you're wondering, damn, how long is this going to take? It just seems to be dragging on and on and on. And so you're feeling frustrated. Yeah, it does talk about a sporadic burst of energy, right? It's kind of like you've been working so hard at something, and then you feel great, and you think, I can do this, and you go for a 10-mile run or an 8-mile run. I mean, if you've joined the military, they do a map march. I think it's a 10-mile map march in full gear. Maybe that's what you're doing, and maybe you're tired, and you're thinking, damn, when is this going to end? When am I going to graduate? When's boot camp going to be over? Right? So those type of things. But it does talk about a new adventure. It talks about you dealing with new people, new projects, new technology, okay? You're going to meet someone. You're going to meet someone in the middle part of that third week. And it might be a romantic interest. Maybe you're attracted to someone, but you're not telling them that you're attracted to them. You're keeping it to yourself, okay? So it does talk about progress after a slow start. This was, it takes a while to get into a fitness program and, to get your body accommodated to it, okay? Accustomed to it. So it's going to take a little bit of time. And like I said, you're feeling a little frustrated. You feel like your energies have no outlet. And indeed, I know that I'm ex-military. And so I know that in the first 5 weeks, you're not allowed to go anywhere. You have to focus on your fitness. Yeah. And your training. And that might be what you're dealing with at this point in time. And so, but that passion, that inner passion that you have, Gemini, It is exploding everywhere. You are excited about this new endeavor, this new relationship, this new project, whatever it may be. You're excited about it and you're willing to put the effort in, even though you're starting to feel a little tired. Okay, so last couple of days of that third week, you have the Empress, and it is reversed. Well, the Empress reversed can talk about being smothered with affection, okay? And that could be from, I mean, maybe where you were at boot camp and maybe you just got back and maybe this is your mother, you know, a maternal aspect of your sister or, you know, a friend, a female persuasion. And they're like, oh my gosh, I missed you so much. And they're like checking on you and they're like kind of overdoing it with like buying you things and making you breakfast, making you lunch, making you supper. And you're kind of thinking, damn, lay off. I want to take a break. Yeah. Yeah. So that's what I see here. But it does talk about governmental changes. Yeah. And it talks about a female that might be in charge of something that, you know, maybe you're kind of resistant to their beliefs. And it could be that you're resisting something that a maternal aspect in your life is asking you to do. Yeah. So, you know, you have to examine your own values toward your health and your belief systems, okay? But focusing on your health is the most important thing in this third week. And in some aspect, it's being influenced by a maternal figure. Like I said, that could be a sister, a mother, a grandmother, an aunt. Someone is encouraging you to focus on your health at this point in time. Now, it also talks about superficial beauty standards, okay? If you are a female, male or other, it does say that you are going to be focusing on how you look, how you personify yourself to other people, and where that energy is coming from and how confident you feel in what you look like, okay? And that might be where this is coming from. Maybe a maternal aspect in your life, whoever it may be, is encouraging you to love the person that you are. Maybe you're too hard on yourself. Maybe you've been going through periods of bulimia or anorexia because you're scared to eat because you don't want to gain weight. Mm-hmm. Or maybe you're scared to take a break from lifting weights because you're scared you're not going to build the muscle or you're going to lose that, okay? But it does talk about you joining forces with a fire sign individual to focus on your fitness, and you're being encouraged by a maternal aspect in your life. They're guiding you. They're basically providing you with the nurturance that you need in order to focus on your health. Now, it does say that there may be a maternal aspect in your life, and that could be a sister, an aunt, a grandmother, a mother, a friend, okay? Someone who might be dealing with some financial constraints. And it might be that they've lost their job. Maybe they've lost their job or their work has been restructured and it is cutting back on their hours, okay? And it's creating some stress for them. So you might be joining forces with a maternal aspect in your life, a female energy in your life, a sister, an aunt, a mother, okay? And maybe you're helping them in some way. You're financially helping them if you can. Now, it does say that someone's going to be dealing with the loss of a relationship, a job, a partnership, okay? And maybe you even have not a negative relationship, but a broken relationship with a maternal aspect in your life. And that could be a sister, a mother, an aunt, a grandmother, okay? Even a daughter. There's tensions in a relationship and you're having a hard time to contend with them. And so it's saying, you know, kind of sit back and look at things through clearer eyes. Take those rose-colored glasses off. Stop seeing everything as one way, okay? And basically it looks like you're being very close-minded with a female aspect in your life. you're not willing to compromise with them, and that's creating tensions. Okay, so be aware that that third week is a mixture of good, bad, and evil. So be aware of that, and take your time before you open your mouth and say anything negative to anyone else, because you don't know what that person is going through. Okay, and they could be dealing with the loss of something in their life, and it's affecting them. So be aware and be more sensitive to someone else's emotional anxiety. Okay, so we're going to move into the fourth week. Fourth week, first couple of days of fourth week. Well, those blinders are falling off. Okay, you have the Eight of Swords reversed, and that talks about you being attracted to things that are tying you down. Yeah, and so now you're having to make a choice. You're having to make a choice between two things. Have you committed to something that you're not prepared to stay committed to? Is it something that you decided on the spur of the moment? Maybe you decided to join a club or an activity or even a sports group, and now you're kind of thinking, damn, I don't think I have the energy for that, or I don't want to be committed to something where I have to be somewhere at a certain time. Okay, so you're kind of feeling like you can't be yourself or be independent because you promised to do something. Yeah, and having to make that choice, it can lead to some problems. Now, it does talk about victimization. Do you feel like you're being forced to do something you don't want to do? And if that's the case, stand your ground. Stand your ground and speak your truth. Okay? It also talks about learned helplessness. Are you dealing with learned helplessness? Have you signed on to do something, but you don't feel like you have the ability to do it, and so you're reaching out to someone else to guide you instead of focusing on that inner strength that Gemini has? Maybe you're feeling a little lack of confidence at this point in time in the first couple of days of that last week. Okay, now it also talks about legal complications that you're dealing with. Okay, something is stopping you from doing what it is that you want to do. I mean, maybe you did join the military, right? Maybe you did join a uniformed aspect of your life, that you got a job wearing a uniform, a nurse, whatever it may be, a firefighter, a cop. Okay, and you don't want to do it anymore. You have that right. You have that right to seek an early release. I mean, you might feel like you've signed a contract, and so you're committed to that. But there are options. There are viable options. Okay, but it does say that you're going to have to wait on paperwork in order to move forward. Okay, maybe you're not eligible for some type of help. Maybe you quit a job. You signed up for a job and then you quit it, and you never thought about the financial constraints that would happen once you quit that job, and so maybe you're waiting for unemployment. I mean, I'm in Canada, so maybe you're waiting for your unemployment check to come in, and I think it takes 6 weeks. So if you've quit a job because you didn't think it matched what you wanted, now you're in that waiting period. So that's going to create some problems. So you're going to have to learn to live with certain limitations at this point in time. And it's depressing. Sure as hell it's depressing when you don't have money. It's as depressing as hell, right? But also, I need to tell you this, do not get involved in any arguments at this point in time in the first couple of days of that last week of September. Don't get involved in other people's issues. You have enough to contend with. Just stay away from it. If you want to be a listening ear, be a listening ear, but don't get involved, okay? Okay, we're going to move into the middle couple of days of that last week. You have the Four of Cups and it's reversed. That talks about emotional depression. Damn. So you went the first couple of days, and now it's continuing into the middle couple of days of the last week. Now, you just want to be alone. You're tired of listening to it, okay? You're feeling this disharmony in your mind and your body. And, there's disruptive things that are happening in your home. There could be people that are coming and going in your home. There could be, people moving in, moving out. And that disruption is creating problems in your mind, your body, and your spirit. It's not sitting well with you. So be careful. If you're frustrated, if you're feeling a lot of stress and anxiety, it will affect your health. So keep notice of the things that are happening in your health, okay? Are you experiencing pain, stomach pains? Are you having headaches? Are you having, skin rashes? Anything. Your body will strike out when it says, and Illness creates inflammation, and inflammation creates illness, right? And stress creates both. So be aware of that and keep a close eye on your body and your body functions. And when one part of that machinery is not working right, make sure that you're noting that and make sure you seek advice. Perhaps go see a professional, a doctor if you need to. Okay, so the very last card you have is a judgment card, and it's reversed. So in that last week, there's a lot of stress, okay? A lot of stress, having to watch your health, okay? Your intuition is telling you something. You're anticipating something, and you know you're going to find out. So if you were dealing with health issues, and it does look like it's water issues. Are you retaining water? Are you retaining fluids? Are you thirsty a lot? Have you been eating too much sugar, right? It could be the start of some type of chronic illness, but it could also be, it could be diabetes, it could be high cholesterol, it could be high blood pressure, okay, things like that, because you're not focused on your health and you're focused on anxiety and stress, right? Now, there is going to be a change in your personal status, okay? And even though it might be a good change, you're indecisive about it. You're not sure if this is something you want. Are you vying to get into a new job? Are you vying to get into a new location, a new relationship, okay? And you're not really sure. If you don't need to make a decision now, Gemini, don't make it. Take that time and look at all the facts, okay? A list of things, the pros and the cons, and weigh each one out. Now, it does say that people are going to be looking at you through a different type of lens, okay? They're going to be looking at everything you do, everything you say, everything you believe, okay? They're going to pick you apart. They're going to pick you apart because they don't know what to make of it. They don't know what to believe, okay? Now, it could also talk about someone watching you watch them. Yeah. So someone might be planning on stealing from you, or you might catch someone stealing from you, whether it's financially or, I mean, someone might, maybe you're in a relationship and your partner's cheating. They're watching to see if you're noticing the little subtleties in their changes in their behavior. Yeah, so be aware of that. Something is taking place in that last couple of days of that last week. Now, it does say that there is healing that needs to take place inside of you, whether that's physical or whether it's just this gut-wrenching rawness, okay? Dealing with stress. You're losing interest in your life. You're losing interest in the activities around you because of the damn stress you're going through, Gemini. How many times I got to tell you, focus on you. Never mind everybody else, focus on you. And if you haven't got anything nice to say, don't say it. Don't say anything. Walk away. Yeah. And don't deal with the stress. Take up meditation or take up yoga or walking in nature, okay? Something like that. But find your grounding. Find your balance once again. Because this is something that you've dealt with before. So maybe you were in a relationship that was, you know, to you was demeaning or abusive. And you thought, okay, I want something different. And you did. You've met somebody. And you got into a relationship. And now all of a sudden you're starting to notice things that you noticed before in the previous relationship that were not healthy. And so you're starting to rethink things. And I'm going to leave it at that because it does say that in that last week of September, you are going to make some gut-wrenching choices. You are going to make some choices based on what you truly want in your life and how much crap you're willing to put up with. Yeah. So that last week is an eye-opener. It is. It's an eye-opener. So I'll leave it at that. Hopefully you're making some positive changes in your life. It does say you will. It does say you will, but you are moving out of that negative energy. And in October, I can see that things are going to tone down quite a bit for you. So focus on your health in that last week. That is all important. That is the most important thing to focus on, mind, body, and spirit in that last week of September. So I shall see you in September or October. Take care, my friends, and namaste. Bye-bye.